Hey, Jordan, welcome to the Founder Wisdom Podcast. So today, everyone, we have Jordan Shamir. He's the co-founder of BotNot, interesting business name. And today we're gonna talk about you, Jordan, about your businesses and drop some wisdom on these founders. Are you ready for the adventure?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
All
Definitely know
right.
what it's like being a founder. So happy to talk through it.
Yeah, 27 minutes. Well, first I need to ask, Shamir, from what part of the world is that from?
Yeah, so I kind of grew up all over. Family is a mixture of Israeli and American, but
Okay,
lived in Hong Kong, lived in Singapore, kind of all over the world.
dope. I lived in Hong Kong too. How was your experience there?
It was awesome. I was there when I was younger, but yeah, it was interesting. We even lived there during like the years that it transitioned from like British to Chinese. So it was
Okay,
definitely like an interesting period in time to be there.
wow. And is Holly your sister?
That's my mom.
Holly Hutcher Shamir. So she Quantum Olympics. That she looks to be pretty successful too.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom, yeah, she does some pretty great stuff.
Very interesting. Okay, well, you have a very diverse background, and yeah, let's jump right into it. Like you were mentioning pre-recording that you basically studied and then you dropped out of school. You went to Universidad de Granada. Do you speak Spanish, by the way?
Not very well. Yeah, I
Okay.
did. I just dropped out of University of Michigan, which is I was at the master's program there
Okay.
and basically, yeah.
And but I mean you're quite young, and I can see here. Okay, so it was an MBA program at the University of Michigan, right?
Yep.
Okay, because yeah, that wouldn't make you're not a student obviously, and you worked in funding. You worked in VC, it seems. Tell us a bit about like your background, your first job, which seems, well, your first serious job, which seems to be like in Herzliya, uh, Israel.
Yeah.
You started at Extent. What did you do there?
Yeah, that was kind of working more in understanding like how retargeting and advertisement goes. So that was a while ago. So it's basically
Mhm.
like some of the new technology was saying like was essentially having the opening and the bidding. So it's like, hey, if I go check out, a shirt on a certain website, I know that that person's interested in buying it. So how can I pay for more money when they go to certain websites to make sure that that goes up and showing? And then from there, I went to investment banking, which I absolutely hated and stayed for a very short time, and then
Mhm.
worked and became product lead at IBM and had the best time. Like it was a partnership between IBM and VMware. We essentially built a startup within IBM Cloud and completely scaled it to be one of the largest offerings that we had in 65 plus data centers around the globe, running some of the world's largest clients. So it was an amazing experience.
Nice. What did you hate about the investment banking world?
For me, I really love business and I love the notion of building. And
Mhm.
so like I didn't love being on the services side. Like I like, all the problems. I like the day-to-day that comes with actually building and scaling something. So I love being more
Mhm.
hands-on compared to being more in an advisory or services role.
Did you guys got funded at BotNot?
Yeah, we just closed our pre-seed round, which is pretty
Congrats.
awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and it was definitely a process, like a journey of meeting everyone, kind of,
Mhm.
developing those relationships. It's very much like dating of who you like and who do you not like, and essentially building for the future. But yeah, we closed our round about 2 weeks ago and really excited to be done with that.
So you kind of brought that experience of the investment banking world with you to get that funding, because your co-founder must be the technical guy and you were the fundraising guy, would guess.
Exactly. Yeah, my co-founder, one of them is actually my sister. She comes from a machine learning background. She was, previously at Apple and Nike before that, and she's on more the
Wow,
technical side. Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. Tell us quickly what you guys do at BotNot.
Yeah. So if you think about like concert tickets or, sneakers or PS5s and how it sells
Mhm.
out instantaneously, the reasons they sell out instantaneously is because bots and resellers are trying to buy them because they know they can sell them for a big markup. And
Okay.
so what we saw from our experience was basically it really impacts your loyal consumers because you want to sell to people that, is going to buy the product and then they're going to buy other products. What we do is we actually prevent essentially solutions or prevent bots and resellers from buying the products. So instead of fully preventing it, we're actually prioritizing consumers. So if we see that you have a lot of human tendencies, we'll allow you to check out the product. When you kind of test higher on that bot or suspicious or bad actor scale, we kind of prevent you from checking it out. And the interesting thing that we've seen is that it's way more than just high heat products, so concert tickets and whatnot. It's any product with a discount code is targeted for arbitrage. And if people can make money on it, they're going to try to make money on it.
That's interesting because the ticket is one use case. Are you referring, for example, the promo codes? Are you referring to Honey, for example, that keeps offering promo codes to basically anyone?
So Honey is not a bad thing, and promotion codes aren't a bad thing. But if I'm using like promotion code like 20% off and I'm buying 50 products, no one really needs 50 products. So like to the individual consumer buying one product with 20% off, that's fine, right? That's normal, that's human. But people are starting to use those codes to buy a large amount of quantity and essentially use that difference from the discount code for their margin to resell the product and kind of undercut the price. So if something was like $100, right? I use the 20% discount, I'm buying it at 80. I can actually resell it for 99. And what people will say is like, hey, I'm saving $1. I'm going to just buy it. It's a brand new product. It has all the tags. It's still in the box. Why wouldn't I save the money?
Yeah, correct. And what's the value added except for the person that did this arbitrage, right? So that's where ethically, it's just like, hey, I'm buying and then I do my cut and then you pay more. So indeed, it kind of sucks for the end customer. And I mean, I haven't bought tickets in a while, and I think like most people did not buy any ticket recently with like the COVID events, but I guess this is exploding right now as things are going back to normal. But is that really the experience that I go on this website? And let's say, well, Burning Man's not a good example, but I know that Burning Man tickets go out pretty quick, and I'm pretty sure they don't allow resellers. But is that the experience for most ticket sellers, like or ticket buyers, should I say? Like I go on the website and they're out of tickets, and next thing I know, I need to deal with a shady individual to buy like tickets on the street. Is that how it goes?
Well, it's not even a shady individual, right? Like it's a Ticketmaster, right? Or any of those platforms. Like John Oliver actually had a great segment about this where if I'm buying a ticket for $100, right? And that's the price that everyone can get. I know that typically more people want to see the concert than the stadium can fill. So what I can do is I can start selling for 150, 200, 300, 400. And people are willing to pay it because they want to go see that artist that comes maybe once every 2 years, once a year. But the thing that we see even more is like, if you think about from a fashion perspective, right? You think about sneakers or you think about electronics. What people are doing is, since there's only so much supply in them, they're buying them and selling a high resale because people are going to buy them anyways because they want the product, right? And one of the fascinating things that we see, so that's like, the high heat use case. The one that we see is like retail arbitrage, where people are actually underselling the brands, right? So they're buying it for, $8 and the brand's selling it for 10 and they're selling it for 9, right? Because what they're trying to do is basically just undercut the price because they know that people are willing to pay less. And why this creates a big issue is basically like all these businesses use data to make business decisions, right? And so how do I understand like who are my real consumers versus who is like a bad actor and just kind of profiteering on my website? Because that kind of makes a difference from like inventory forecasting, understanding profiles, marketing campaigns, etc.
Got it. How did you get the idea? Because it's pretty damn niche.
Yeah, we got the idea just because we worked in retail. And the thing that's pretty cool is that like, it's not as niche as you think, because like bots make up about 40% of internet traffic. So it's kind of widespread, right? And so it's some of the things that we started to see more and more is like, all right, we have a lot of large customers, but a lot of our largest customers aren't human. And how is that really impacting the brands? And so through our experience at retail, we were able to understand like, hey, this is, a pretty large issue that no one's addressing.
Yeah, I mean, bots is widespread. Just that the niche, the ticket niche, like, why did you decide to go with it? Is there a surge in ticket buying nowadays? Are things coming back to normal? Is there a specific reason you decided to attack that niche first?
I wouldn't say tickets are our first niche. It's just a use case of like, what
Sure.
people understand because everyone's tried to buy concert tickets, right? But
Got
like
it.
we do retail, we do electronics, we do tickets, like anything across the board that can be impacted by bad actors, we seek to help.
Okay. Interesting. Very cool. And what would you price me say I use your solution? Is it an API? Is it I pay per usage or?
Yeah, it's you just kind of install into like Shopify or other platforms, and it's basically based off the number of transactions you have a month is how it's priced. We have a free tier, then we have kind of different pricing based off, obviously the scale and how many transactions you're conducting.
How advanced is the ML? Because I can see myself, like, I don't know, refreshing the page 2 times or 3 times, and then your bot refusing me access because I showed botsy behaviors. How advanced is it? And do you see a risk in sometimes, frustrating some customers and banning them of the buying page while they were not bots?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be false positives, right?
Mhm.
And what we do is we don't actually ban you from checking out. And how it works for most of these large enterprises, what goes through is basically you order the item, and then once the item is ordered, on the back end you fulfill it, right? So we're never really blocking someone from checking out or buying the product. What we're doing is in the back end, right, kind of in real time, when someone checks out, we're going to flag if it's a bad actor or a good actor. And if it's a bad actor, you as the vendor can say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to sell to this person because I have enough demand for this product. Or you can also say, hey, you know what? It might be a bad actor, but I want to sell all my product. So I'm just going to sell it to this individual. So we're not actually preventing anyone from blocking. We're giving the visibility to the brand and to the vendor to
Okay,
say, hey, I want to either process or not process this transaction.
got it. Now that you got the funding, what are your priorities and when will be the next round of funding?
Yeah, priorities are, launching publicly. We're more in a beta. We have about, 10, 12 clients running in a beta. So launching publicly and supporting other platforms. So like building for scalability, supporting platforms, improving essentially what we call client impact. So like showing the metrics of saying why are bad actors impactful to business, right? Like showing like how there's certain ways to optimize, right? Like selling to you might be better than selling to me, and showing
Mhm.
quantifiable business value. So stitching all that data. We likely will probably raise money in a year and a half from now. And yeah, that's kind of the plan. I mean, we'll see how everything works out, but that's, currently where we're planning right now.
So if your co-founder is the technical one, what have your priorities shifted into right now? Getting new clients, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, clients, hiring, culture, right? P&L, understanding pricing, marketing, right? It's literally endless. Knowing where to start with the day because there's just 1,000 things that you can do.
Yeah.
And just I'm sure as you know, like in any startup, it's really, since it's a small team, it really everyone working makes a big contribution. So it's one
Yeah.
of those tough dilemmas of like, I don't know when I could not work.
Exactly. I'm curious because I shifted from, let's call it VP sales in my own business to CMO recently. And that shift was kind of seismic in my brain. I had to undo a lot of sales habits and convert them into, let's say, more nurturing marketing habits, value-based habits. How is it to shift from raising money to all these other priorities? Do you shift to this mindset quickly? Do you adapt quickly, or does it take a while and make you a bit uncomfortable, like it did with me in the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a shift and a mentality change. Like for us,
Mhm,
like, we were still running the business even though we were fundraising.
mhm,
What I think difference happens when you get funding. It's great because you actually have money to go pursue your dreams and, go pursue the startup. There's also a new sense of responsibility, like where
mhm.
you really feel like, okay, I have people believing in me. I have people's money. Like, let's really go make it happen. And it's kind of crazy. Like the amount of pressure that you have when you have someone else's money compared to your own money is
Really?
kind of night and day. It just feels a lot more, yeah, it's just a lot more pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess so. Because, well, there's a bunch of philosophies on money, but I'm at the point of my life in which I spend without any guilt. I used to spend with guilt and be careful with, doesn't mean to spend dumb, but means that once the money is gone, it's gone. And then you need to evaluate if your investment was good or not. I mean, yeah, to spend someone else, like, are you investors? Do they put pressure on you? Do they check in with you? How does it feel?
Yeah, we have an awesome relationship with them. I mean, we do a monthly cadence with most of them. We have a newsletter, but like the thing I would say about investors is like when you look for investors for any founder, it's more than money, right? Like it's essentially who's someone that you want to be in a partnership with. Like who can you say bad news to? Who can you say good news to? Who can you run ideas by? Who can connect you with, either customers, jobs, media, whatever. And like that was, I think one of the things to really take in mind is like be very, very deliberate about who you're bringing on as an investor, because they really need to be a partner. And you as a founder also shouldn't be afraid to ask for certain things, whether it's introductions or opinions. Like be very, very open, and they want to help you, right? They're invested in you. So make sure that you have someone you're comfortable with.
Interesting. And yes, investors should add knowledge value as well as money value for sure. But I guess that's something that you liked a bit less about this world, is that sometimes they don't have as much as hands-on experience, and sometimes you feel that you're talking with either a robot or a very old person that doesn't understand the reality of things. But yeah, if you get good ones, that shouldn't happen. Do you recommend that, like most businesses, get funding, especially if you're in the SaaS industry, let's say? But do you recommend funding as a general for first-time founders?
Definitely. I mean, I think it ultimately depends what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve, right? Like, I think Paul Graham has a great thing about like what defines a startup versus a business, right? And if you view yourselves as a startup, like trying to hit hyper aggressive growth, then you're going to need the funding, right? Because like in SaaS, if you do it right, it's a scale game, right? So it's amount of getting X amount of clients or X amount of transactions, whatever your metric is, to become very, very profitable, right? And so a lot of times you do need the initial funding to get there. And I would just say like read about funding, understand the different avenues of going around, like whether it's a safe or convertible or equity based, like take a look at it. But yeah, I mean, the fundraising process has been really pretty transformational for us.
I see that you're recruiting for 2 positions right now. Are you managing anyone right now, or it's only engineers and technical people managed by your co-founder?
Yeah, so we all kind of manage it as a group. We're flat hierarchy. So like if, I come from a technical background too, so that's something that I can do as well. But yeah, we have 2 open positions right now. Kind of what we're looking for is mostly some back-end engineers and some machine learning engineers. But, eventually in the coming, probably in the coming months, maybe in like 5-6 months, we might start looking at marketing or a sales role and pulling some of that in more.
What's our top leadership tips that you have for new leaders?
Honestly, I think the best thing is just showing that you're trying and leading with gratitude. If people work on the weekends or if people are doing good work, really like appreciate it, right? Like it's the best way to ultimately build that culture of people wanting to work from you and just kind of, wanting to learn, is just be really appreciative and be really grateful. And then the other one would be, honestly, it's being direct. Like for me, one of the things I had to learn, I don't like confrontation too much. And, I can be a placater, but sometimes you're just making it worse for everyone by not, being direct. If you don't like a job someone's doing, you have to kind of be honest with it. And even though it's not the most fun thing in the moment, it's only going to benefit everyone by just being pretty honest.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, I mean, it's always a fine equilibrium, because you don't want to be an asshole either. And you want to give valuable feedback. You want to make sure it comes from a good place as well. You want to check in with yourself. How do I feel today? Am I angry because of this other thing that happened in my personal life, and then I'm putting it all on this person? Kind of scan yourself with your states, which are some insights that I derived from my darkroom retreat this weekend, to make sure that this feedback comes from the heart as well, and that it's in the best interest of the employee too. Will this help this employee in his further career, even if he doesn't stay here later on? Is it good feedback that will improve his personal life? So Yeah, very good advice here. Um,
Yeah.
I'm reading the job post here. How would you describe the culture at BotNot?
Yeah, I think one of the cultures that we're trying to cultivate is one that's based off, enjoyment, and also there's the solution for everything, right? Like we obviously want everyone to enjoy what they're doing, to be super stimulated. So, like one thing that we have is like engineers that want to learn more about machine learning that are more on the back end or front end. Like we have a lot of education, right? So like we do a lot of lunch and learns. We have employees training employees. And then for us, like, I don't know, I kind of have the belief that almost everything could have a solution. So we kind of have a notion of like, we want our employees to challenge us. Like, we want to have open dialogue, right? Like, some of the biggest changes we made came from people, counteracting and saying, hey, what you're doing is wrong, right? And saying this is a better way of doing it. So we're super open for like, respectful disagreement, as we like to talk about it, because we think ultimately that's the best way to progress the company.
Yeah.
And then the last one is, it's really important for us, just like have something that you're going to skip work for. Like if it's a great day to go surfing, or, Manchester United's playing, you want to take your dog on the walk, like don't worry about it. Just take that time as you need, because like we want to reward our employees, and we know like if they're happy in their personal lives, their work lives are going to be better too. So
Yeah, that's a fact. And it's also a fact that everything is solvable, everything is crackable. Do you believe there's such a thing as work-life balance for your employees and for yourself, or is it a total myth?
it's a really good question. I like to work a lot. So like my work-life balance is okay to be more work heavy, but that's something that we're really cognizant of. Like even when I post in Slack, I'll even say like, hey guys, it's Saturday, like don't respond till Monday. Don't worry about it. There's certain things that
That's
you can
great.
do. I just like, if I'm watching a movie and I'm on my laptop, like I'm typically, I'm looking at work or thinking about things, but like definitely something that I need to learn, because I'm sure, as you know, from startups, like one of the biggest things to learn is like, if you're not working, you're not making as much progress as you can be making. And it's sometimes that's okay, because like, I've been burnt out. I know what it's like. And sometimes you need to take a couple of days off to help make you more productive in the future. So like, that's like some personal growth that I'm going through, and understanding of like, how do I kind of get to peace with it.
It's such a complex equation, and how I see it is, well, I think of it in terms of 80, 100 years in my case. I want to be intense, in the short term, and I think humans are meant to be intense. And I think there's seasonality to life, like you first quarter, you might be a bit calmer, second, you might be more aggressive and stuff, but it's a very complex equation, to be honest, because if you're watching that movie, you might derive some value, or you might invent some value out of that movie, or derive some good insights that might serve you in 18 years, while working on this startup. Sometimes, it's also, you need to probably go with 80-20 law, go where you can have 80% impact, and then probably slow down on the rest of the 20, or rest. I think there's a bunch of us that definitely overdo it. I think most of us entrepreneurs were very much OCD and obsessive, and we've all faced burnout. How did your burnout feel? How was it like?
It was tough, man. So I faced it at IBM for the first time. Like I did a bunch of traveling, and it was like one of those roles where like when you're traveling, you're still not doing your day-to-day job, like if you're on a client site. So it was like when I finished being all week, then I had a whole night of work that I had to catch up, and it was just playing catch up and catch up, and it just got to be too much. And honestly, the best thing is, I think, recognizing what burnout is, and then also realizing like, Rome wasn't built in a night, right? And understanding that things take time, and like sometimes it just takes time and you can't do it. And so like also baking in things that help. So that like stems to our culture of like, what's something that, you skip work for? Like that helps me rejuvenate, helps me relax. So that's something we intentionally built into our culture based off like the burnt out we've all experienced, and ways to kind of rejuvenate ourselves.
And then the negative mental models that one adds over this, which is I have my head underwater, right? That's the typical analogy that we think. And that doesn't help, and then negative voices, and then it's like, okay, I need to stop, I need to reflect, And yeah, but it's also a normal cycle of life, you know, like forests have burnouts too, and they regrow better. My burnout was mostly, you know, like not feeling lots of love, whether it was from clients, whether it was from employees. I felt, you know, that I was writing solo in my business. And yeah, you know, like I mean, I'm an Iron Man. I endure lots of pain, but sometimes it's too much for a human. And then I was like, yeah, I don't want to open my goddamn computer today. This is
Yeah.
getting stressful, you know. And my computer was looking at me. I was like, no, even though I have this big ass coffee cup next to me, I don't want to open that computer. This is scary, you know. But yeah, I guess it happens to all of us in some shape and form. Because the podcast is finishing up. We've got like a minute left. Was very nice, but do you have like some parting advice, or any comments, or any piece of valuable information that you would leave us and founders that are listening?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is, you know, don't be afraid. I think people want to help you more than you give credit for.
Yep.
And so if you have something that's, you know, valuable for their time, they're willing to help, right? And take a call. And then with that, like, you know, the thing that, like, the best piece of advice I ever got was just show progress. That's how you build credibility. So like, all right, you have a conversation, then you have a deck, then you have a wireframe, and then you eventually may have something coded up or something, you know, in Figma, I don't know. But that slowly building credibility and showing progress is essential for building relationships. And to be honest, like, that's a big reason we got a lot of our funding, was like they believed in our team to deliver based off the progress we showed. So even starting off with a conversation is the right way to start.
Yeah, momentum, the law of 1% better daily. And I think it's Tony Robbins that says that the definition of happiness is progress, right? You want to get the deep feeling that you have been better than yesterday. And I guess that's laws of evolution, right? You always want to progress and be better and be more happier and all that. Just need to be careful for that not to become pervasive. I'm reading right now the book of Tony Hsieh, you know, I think it's Happy at Any Cost or something like that, that Tony Hsieh, the late Tony Hsieh that died recently, tragic, but anyway, sometimes we need not to push it that far. And I guess that, yes, progress is pretty much my definition of happiness. So thank you for that advice here. Thank you for your time. It's been incredible. I'll just let you know, Jordan, when everything's ready and online.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. And if anyone has questions, just DM me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and happy to chat.
For sure, man. Have yourself a great day, buddy.
You too. Bye.
Bye.